My name is Ssewakiryanga, best known as Ssewa Ssewa. I am Ugandan. I live in Uganda. Professional musician. I created a Janzi that was inspired by the adungu, an instrument that comes from the north western Uganda, mostly played by the Alulu people. Basically to spearhead the development of other instruments. This here is the proper traditional adungu. You see, it has the skin on top of it. And we also use the tuning pegs. So usually, if it's not the nails, you see the wooden tuning pegs. But this is a traditional one with the sound. This is a cow skin. Sound box is usually covered with cow skin down the top, but inside there's wood. That's the sound box. Usually, they use either pentatonic or diatonic, depending on what one chooses to use. Because even with the adungu, we have different techniques of playing. You'll find different players use a different technique of tuning. So the technique of playing is different, just like the jams. It's totally different from how you would play. I think because the adungu usually it's more like a set when you go to the people that play. Usually they have the solo adungu, they have the tenor adungu, and also they have the bass adungu.
So it's played in a trio.
Yeah, if they can even play more depending on what they want to play. I think adungu can be played in all stages, but the problem we've had, I think, is we've not really pushed much of our traditional instruments, and that's one of the reasons why I came up to create this beautiful instrument, to try and give much more platform. Because at my workshop, I also make other instruments like the akogo, like the ndingidi, that's the chilpido, the sampiano. We have the bow lyre, we have the adungu itself. So I am trying to change the appearance of these instruments and try to sell the idea to the world and see. My late father, the late James Ssewakiryanga Senior, he formed a band or a group, a traditional group called Terifan in Arizona. He traveled a lot in the UK with the late Albert Sempeke, and they used to come with the late Peter Cook, who came to Uganda so many times with his son and the cook, who still plays some music. But my father is one of those that taught him music in Uganda. So my mom is a dancer, professional dancer, and the troupe is still there. Once in a while, they get booked for, functions, and they play. And I also, when I have time and I'm not with the band, I join the troupe and play with them. I was brought up listening and watching my father and my mom do this because we have a culture troupe, so I was learning from them. I didn't really study music, so I play most of my music by ear. But with my dad and the troupe, my dad was mostly known for the drums, so he was playing drums. I played a lot of drums when I was young, but when I grew up and joined these, schools and different groups, I picked interest in the adungu specifically. My time in school, we had so many competitions in Uganda, and most of my colleagues that I grew up with, I played music with, have traveled. I've relocated from Uganda because this kind of music doesn't really have an audience here. So I know friends who have really done albums, beautiful albums, but they're not given an opportunity or platform to present or showcase their music. So we don't have many of these instruments being played, which is a shame in my opinion. But I think lately I've been trying to push the Janzi more into people's faces, and also talking about the traditional instruments more. And there's some bit of interest from people, and they want to learn, which gives me hope. And I trust if we can have 10, I'm sure we will have thousands that will learn from the 10.
Which brings us to the Janzi. So my first introduction was from seeing Joe Kahiri play it. And he told me that you made it. So tell us, like, when did you make it? What was the inspiration? And where's it gone from there?
Well, I'll go back to where the name Janzi started from. So I was in Germany. That was in 2009. I was traveling with 3 other friends of mine who were playing music. And then I walked into a music store where I was asked what I was doing in Germany. I said I'm a musician. They asked me, what instruments do you play? And the first instrument that came to mind was the adungu. And this gentleman didn't know what the adungu was. I told him it is a hatch harp from Uganda. He said, oh, you mean the kora? He said, no. The adungu is a different instrument from the kora. So we had to Google to show him what the adungu is. And he didn't know anything about it. So for me, that became a challenge. And I started a band called Janzi. So Janzi is a name that it comes from a Janzi. A Janzi means a locust. So the whole idea was for the band music to fly from one place to another, but fronting more of the traditional instruments so the world can get to know what kind of instruments we play in Uganda and how they sound like. So I succeeded in creating the band, which has been around for 12 years now. We play a lot before COVID came in and messed up everything. We really had so many gigs happening in Kampala. So in 2014, I was at Copenhagen Airport. I was traveling with one of my colleagues, and he had an adungu, which we were refused to carry on board. And the reason was because the adungu had nails as tuning pegs. So usually the adungu here, we use either wooden pegs or nails as tuning pegs, and that was considered a threat, which is something you would actually, look into and accept. So, but for me, it was an embarrassment. And when I returned home, I thought about how do I fix this issue so we don't have someone else travel and we have the same problem. Tomorrow it might be someone else. I remember I had a broken adungu. The neck was broken, so I called the carpenter. I told him, can you find me a neck? He said, yeah. So when he went to bring a tape measure, he came back, I told him, I don't think I want to fix that adungu. I think I want us to build something and, experiment. So first we built an adungu, which sounded really beautiful. But then after, innovating the adungu, I felt, how do I add to the music industry here, especially for these instruments that seem to be forgotten for years now? How do I add some value to bring them up back into people's faces? Because here, mostly when you work with an adungu, people call you local. And when you work with a guitar, people think you're cool. You're the guy that you should talk to. And for me, I thought if we address the issue of the appearance of this instrument, and people look at it and say, okay, there's value to this, then we bring back the love for the instrument. So I thought of an instrument with 2 scales, which is the Janzi here, and we succeeded building the instrument. It's a recognized instrument here in Uganda, even in Aripo in Zimbabwe, the Africa Regional Intellectual Property. So I have a certificate for the instrument as a utility model. So it's protected. I had made quite a number of them that I used to travel around with and sell them to people. Some universities, like the University of Munich in Germany, they bought some. So I've been, selling some out there. But as you know, it's a new instrument and I need to push for it for people to know about it more. And that's why I need to address some of the issues before I fully go out and say, now we have a bigger market, we're doing business. One of the issues that I am going to address next. So we're going to start installing sharpening levels on the instruments, like those we see on the hat, to be able to, adjust the keys that are favorable to people, so we don't have to carry so many instruments, especially when you have to travel and you have to carry 4 instruments instead of 1 or 2. So the idea is to make sure the instrument is flexible and user-friendly. So when I'm fixing, there's something that opens here.
Yeah.
So the pickup is inside on this here. So when I touch that, you hear that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And the strings, what are you using? Is that they borrowed from a guitar strings or?
Well, I'm using the fish lining. It's nylon. I buy different sizes depending on the sound that I want to put out. So when I'm playing the bass, someone is able to hear that. And when I'm playing the high notes, I have the difference in sound. And this instrument is tuned in F. So there's difference even on the strings when I'm tuning on my left, different on my right. So when you see, like the same way when you're playing the kora, you use the 4 fingers. With the janzi, I'm able to use the 4 fingers, the 5, because on my right, I use these 3 to play more of my chords. That holds the chords. So my right, I do more of the improvising. So I can use the 2 and the 3. So there's a point, especially when I'm playing my 6, I'm playing with 6 fingers all at once to be able to play a full chord, for example. So I need all the 6 to play, yes. Because with the janzi, I am playing 2 scales, and that's the diatonic on my left and the tonic on my right. So I'm playing 2 scales at the same time. I know Catherine Finn.
Okay,
Catherine
that's
Finn. I love her music. Together with Case, I love their combination. I come from a very traditional background, but I've had to adjust to the world and different sounds that I've been connected to when I travel around the world. So I have picked up ideas that you definitely want to add on to your local instruments and give them a better value and try to connect with the world. That's why when you look at the janzi, it connects with the world. There are things that are not made here, so you have to purchase them somewhere. But that's the direction to see how do we grow them, because I know so many people don't really know these instruments. I remember in 2019, I was in New York and I walked into a museum and we don't have a single instrument there. And I was asking, why isn't Uganda having an instrument here? They said, we don't even know the instruments we play in Uganda. So it is upon us. And I want to take that responsibility to change that history, to make sure, our instruments reach out to people. And it's not just, politics, as people talk about politics more about this country. These are some stories we hear when we travel around the world as a musician, being asked about politics. I'm like, no, I should be talking about music. That's what I best know. But I understand where it's coming from. It's because it has not been too much going out there. There might have been a reason why, because maybe we didn't give enough value to our instruments. The song I'm going to play for you, or this piece, is called Mwana Wange. I play this piece most of the time when I travel. It has beautiful memories. It's a song I produced when my wife told me about my first son, called the Money. So wherever I go, I play this piece.
It's such a beautiful piece of music. It's great.
Thank you.
Because I mean, I'm fortunate in the community that I live that there's a lot of open-minded people who have got, you know, maybe traveled a lot, have done some research. So there's an interest in more global music. But I think one of the things I was conscious of was in the West, and certainly in the UK, whilst I was growing up, if anybody talked about African music, then it was definitely somebody playing a djembe, you know?
Yes.
So
Yes.
when I as I was growing up, that was definitely the image of all African music.
No, actually, it has happened to me most of the time when I travel. People think I come from West Africa. So I have to explain, no, I come from East Africa. You have an instrument, two sides like a kora. I said, yeah, but this is different from the kora. The kora comes from West Africa, but we developed an instrument called the jamzi from East Africa, Uganda. We have other instruments like that. So that's also something we need to change and people's mindset to know there's music that comes from this region as well. And the best we can do is play and share with the world. When we play and keep to ourselves, then people will never know.